All right. So, people, very good morning and welcome to day two of this data analytics with career guidance. So, today we'll discuss about the topics on what is analytics and reporting. Then we'll understand about business analytics, data analytics. We'll understand about data science and data engineering. So, this topic I'm actually taking because so that you'll understand what actually you people are learning and where the entire course, what you're learning, the technology, what you're learning, the tools, the softwares, what you're learning will be implemented. Okay, so today's topic will be completely on the discussion of the industry, that is analytics and reporting industry, business analytics, data analytics, and what is data science and data engineering. And also, I'll talk about the roles what these process is actually involved. Say who is business analyst, who is data analyst, who is data scientist, and who is data engineer. Okay. All right. So today there won't be any class on Excel. So we'll be starting our Excel class from tomorrow. But today I want all of you to know what these processes are, what these concepts are, and what are the technologies these process will actually use. Okay, then you'll know that what kind of technologies you have to learn. All right, so let me take one notepad. I'll take a notepad. All right. So first thing is we actually want to work on data, right? So what is data? Data is nothing but it is an information. Why this data is important, I'll tell you. If you want to understand any business or if you want to study any business, we need to have some information about it. Now, when I say information, and if you want to study that, we need to store that somewhere. So why are we actually storing that? So that we get the historical information about whatever process we are doing in the business. Now I have this data, so I have to store this somewhere. So what I'll do is I'll store it somewhere, which we call it as database. So now when I store this in a database, that should be in a proper manner. I cannot just like that dump the data. So what we actually do is we use some softwares or tools where we can store this in an organized way. So for that, we call it as database management system. So we need to manage this database. To manage this database, we use something called as database management system. So this is called as DBMS. So that is where this SQL Server, Oracle, MS Access, all these softwares will actually come into picture. Now, I'm just giving you a brief, information about these things, how the industry actually works. I am not going too, in depth of these things, but just try to understand this. Say we have information, that is data. We are collecting that information, storing it somewhere as database, and to manage this database, we have the tools which we call it as database management system. All right. Now, what are we going to do with this data? Okay, so I have the information, I have stored that somewhere, but what are we actually doing with this? For that, if we want to study the data, if you want to study what's happening with the business, what's happening with the process, we actually do analysis. Right? So now you see, I'm doing this analysis. So what is this analysis? To study the data. So whatever data we have stored in the database, we are trying to do the analysis. And after doing the analysis is nothing but studying of the data. There are so many other technical things. What happens? I'm just briefing you. Okay. Don't think that analysis means just studying of the data. There are a lot of things involved. Just to make you people understand, I'm just telling about this analysis. What is analysis? Now, after this analysis, what are we actually doing? We actually create reports. So why do we create reports? These reports will make the user understand the data easily. Now you try to understand, I have a huge data which the normal person cannot understand, or the normal person may not have that much of technical skills. So what we do is we do this analysis and then convert the entire data into reports. Now, what is reports? Reports are nothing but the pictorial representation or representing your data in such a manner that it is very easily understood. I always give one simple example about a cricket match because most of us actually watch cricket match. If you see, you can see the score, you can see, the comparison of the teams or the players. It is very easily mentioned there with the charts. So it can be pie chart, it can be line chart, it can be bar chart. There are so many different ways what they try to make it more easy to understand. So this is called as reports. So the first topic, I was just talking about analytics and reporting. Now, when I say analytics, that means I'm trying to understand the data, study the data, and try and see if I can slice the data or do some analysis on that so that it is easy for me to collect only a part of the data or the entire data and create the reports. When it comes to reports, it is nothing but to make people understand easily. When I say understand easily, it should be in such a way that if I see the data, if I see that chart, or if I see that information, it is very easy for me to understand the end point. It shouldn't be like from scratch. All right. To give another example, let's assume that I have a novel which is around some 800 to 1000 pages. If you want to read the entire novel, it'll take a lot of time, and sometimes you might not show that interest as well, because completing that 1000 pages will take a lot of time, and we don't have that much of patience or that much of time. So what we actually do is, if we have a movie with the same novel, so we watch that in just say 1.5 hours or 2 hours, which is more interesting, because they visually show the entire story with some special effects, sounds, songs, music. So many things will be involved in that. So that is called as reports. So instead of studying the entire raw data, you're just interested in creating the understanding the reports. So this is one process actually where we collect the data, store that somewhere, and analyze that, and then create the reports. So here there are so many roles are involved. Now, for example, if you want to collect the information, first collecting information. See, there are so many steps. I'm just telling, collecting information. This is done by the data entry operators. You can see that there'll be some data entry operators who actually try to enter the data. Or sometimes, say for example, you open say naukri.com or say monster.com, or many other job sites, or you also go and fill some information in some of the websites. Say for example, you go to Amazon, you try to enter all your details. So wherever you go, you enter some details in your websites. That is what they are collecting the information. So once the data is collected, that will store somewhere. The technical things is that will store somewhere. When I say submit or say save or something, that will go and store somewhere. Now after that, there will be some people who start analyzing, say data analyzing. So for this, there are some people, they're called as data analysts, who start analyzing the data. So here, suppose if they want to improve their business, there are some people who actually do some research on the data, say research on the information. And these people are data scientists. I'll go in detail of it. I'm just telling you how the process happens actually. The next, now there is a concept of data engineering, that is, which also comes under this data analyst, or these people say they work on the tools exclusively. They are called as data engineer, data engineers, right? So this is how the entire process, what you're actually learning, okay, this is how the entire process happens. As I told you, I'm not going in depth of all this. I'm just telling you the overall picture how actually the industry works. Let me start with business analyst, business analytics. If you just let me also take one PowerPoint so that I can explain this in more detail. Okay. All right. So let's understand what is business analytics. Business analytics means studying of the business. Let's say here we have okay. Let's assume that this is business analytics process. Right. Increase the font size. Okay. This business analytic process involves many things here. What is that? First thing is data collection. This data collection, there is a person called as business analyst. Okay. What this business analyst will do is he will go to a company approaches one of the analytic companies saying that our business is actually not running properly. We are doing some very good, products. We are actually producing a lot of good products, but still we are not able to sell the products or say we're not getting good business. What I'm telling is one of the examples. So this business analyst, okay, what he actually will do is he'll go and sit with the client and he will say that what is the problem. Now the discussion will happen. The client will actually explain the complete scenario, what's happening in the company. But now, immediately, the business analyst will not be able to give any decision unless and until he knows what's happening with the data. So what he will do is he will ask for the data. Now, the client will give the data to business analyst in various different formats. Now, when I say data collection, this data collection will be in the format of, say, MS Excel. It can be in the format of CSV or text. It can be in SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL. Likewise, the data can be in various different formats. We call it as data source. Okay, so this is called as data source. If you want to just mention that, data source. Okay. So this data source, I'll put it here only, data source. And let's make it bold. So the data, what the client is giving, that will be in various different data source. There are, multiple data, more than 100 type of data source are there. I'm just telling you the common ones, which most of the companies actually use. Okay. So if you have any other data source, please don't mind. There are so many, which I cannot make a list of it now as of now in the class, but there are so many data sources where the data will be stored. Now, once this data is collected, okay, so first the business discussion will happen, a lot of things will be discussed, and they'll tell about their problems, and this person, the data analyst, will not give the solution immediately. So he will collect the information. Once the data is collected in various different formats, what he will do is he'll come back to his company so that he can do some process. Now what he will do is here he will approach one more person. He is actually a technical guy who do the analysis, call it as analytics. So what he will do here, he will study the data. Okay. Say study the data. After studying of the data, then he will understand the data. Then after that, you will try to analyze the data. Then you will start creating reports. So this data analyst, what he will do is he is expert in all these kind of technologies, tools or softwares. He will study the data, then we'll try to understand what actually we can do with that. We'll start analyzing. When I say analyzing, so you can do some analytic process. You can slice some data or you can remove some columns, clean the data or something. Once he has done all this, then he will start creating the reports. So once the reports are done, then again, the reports will be submitted to the business analyst. The next step is submit the reports to whom? To the business analyst. Once the reports, what this this data analyst is submitting to the business analyst, he will now go to the client and he will show the reports and he will make the decision. Now, these decisions will be taken by the management. Okay. Right. See the process. I'm just telling you in a very simple manner. Okay. There are a lot of technical things involved, but you try to understand how the industry actually works. So first is the business analyst. The business analyst role is to go to the client, sit with him, understand the problems. Once the problem is understood, he will say, please give us the data so that we can do further investigation on that or try to understand what's happening. The client will give the data in various different formats, that is the different sources. And this data is collected and then it is given to the data analyst in the company. The data analyst, what he will do is he'll try to do a lot of process on that. That is right from checking from which data source it is coming, and then he will see that how to study the data, how to create the report. So for that, he'll understand all the data. He will do some analysis on that and then create the reports. The reports which are created, it will be submitted to the say again to business analyst, and the reports will be taken to the client, and there they sit and again they'll have a lot of discussions and there will be a lot of suggestions, insights will be shown, insights will be given, and then based on that, the decision will be taken by the top management. So that is where the process happens, and then they'll start implementing. There might be improvement in the business. It will happen actually because there'll be a lot of people involved in that to improvise the process, the business, or anything. I'm just telling you one example taking as a business. So it can be anything, it can be any process. So it can be improving your team, it can be improving your business, or anything it can be. Okay, so this is how it happens in the industry. So we understood the entire process. So now we understood that business analytics is nothing but he will actually understand about the business process. He will try to understand. So here, let me make a points here. So discuss with the client. So what you will discuss? You will discuss about the problems. You discuss about the process. Then collect information. I call it as data. After that, you will get back to the company and approach the data analyst. After this, collect reports given by data analyst. Let me mention this as data analyst. Okay. Then discuss again with the client to give insights and suggestions. That's all you can do. You can only do, you can give the insights and suggest. Then that decision what is taken by the top management of that company. Okay. So this is the process of business analytics, and this is the role of business analyst. Right. Now we understood what a business analyst will do. Now, who is the data analyst? So, what is data analytics? Data analytics, and this is by the data analyst. Most of the people are interested in this because this is where we have a lot of technical things happening. There was a question yesterday in the session saying that should we learn Power BI? Should we learn Python? Should we learn any other technologies for becoming a business analyst? See, business analyst is a process of understanding. Business analytics is a process of giving some suggestions. So if you are actually playing that kind of role, then you should have the knowledge. See, I'm telling you, even if you don't have the experience, okay, just try to understand the difference between knowledge and experience. If you, even if you don't have the experience, or say you're not exposed to, you're not explored the technologies, at least you should have some knowledge. Because when you are actually speaking to the client, when he gives some information, so you should, when you are actually collecting the information, so at least you should know, in the format what they are giving, the data source what they are giving, you should at least know the basic knowledge of the softwares. So what happens is that it will be easy for you to discuss. Otherwise, what happens is, like, if you don't know anything and if you keep speaking, you can only give suggestions theoretically, but not practically. So it is always good someone, in the class, if you think that you want to have, you want to become a business analyst, try to have the technical knowledge. So that will actually help you a lot because while discussing, this will give more, confidence for you to speak to the clients. Okay, right. The data analyst or the process of data analytics. This is actually to collect the data, okay, from various data source. When I say data source, I mentioned some of the data sources. So it can be any other data sources as well. So this person, the data analyst, should be a technical person. They should be very good in the technologies. So it is about collecting the information, that is data, then analyzing the data, and then create reports. I'm just briefing it. There are a lot of other things also involved in that. So you'll be working on so many technologies. So this process, okay, here, the data analyst, he should know a lot of things. That is, he should know right from how to understand the data, how actually he can automate the process. When I say automation, he should know programming. When I say analyzing, then he should know about the SQL, the Excel, the pivoting of the table. So these kind of things he should actually know. So is more of technical person. Then comes data science, and the role is played by data scientist. People, I'll tell you one thing. Most of the people actually get confused with data analytics and data science, or they also confuse with the data analyst and data scientist. So I'll tell you the difference. There is not much difference actually. These two are actually play the similar kind of role, but this data scientist also plays sometimes the role of business analytics as well. Why? Because this person, this scientist, he is a person who can take the decision, who can give a lot of decisions as well, and he actually uses various different ways, or say various different techniques to understand the data and bring out the most of the valuable insights. Say this person, what he will do is his work is to research the data, research on the data. So, in a very simple words, science is all about doing some research and you know getting some results out of the research. So this person, say data scientist, he should also be a technical person, but here the thing is, this person, the data scientist, he should be very good in statistics, mathematics, programming, analyzing. Okay, so he should be overall, like he should know a lot of things. So because he's doing research on the data, so he will be keep trying and doing a lot of experiments on the data to see what best he can bring out of the data what he has got. So the data scientist, we cannot tell that he's only technical person. He's also a person who can be a statistician, who can be a mathematician, who can be a programmer, and he can also be a reporting specialist. So there are a lot of things which involve this data science, which the person who actually works on that, he should be knowing lot many things. Now there is one more confusion that people who are data scientists, they should know AI, ML or something. It is not like that. So data science is something very, it's a very broad process actually. It involves lot many things. So if you think that you know only programming and reporting, yes, you can be a data scientist. But you cannot be a full-fledged data scientist, because when I say data scientist, you should also know about the statistics and mathematics as well. But again, it is not compulsory. So there are some projects which are involved without using the statistics and mathematics as well, or there are some ready-made codes, or say readily available codes which helps you in using this statistics and mathematics as well. But if you are good in statistics and mathematics, it is easy for you to become a data scientist. But still, I'm telling, anyone can become data scientist, provided you should have that interest, you should have that confidence in you. That's it. Okay, so we can say that data analytics is a part of data science. Business analytics, and next we have this data analytics. So data analytics is nothing but a process which will help business analysts to understand, create the reports, and again go and explain to the client. So data science is nothing but, once we get the data, we can do a lot of R&D on that, a lot of research on that, and get the best output of the data what we have. It will also help us in generating a lot of insights, decisions, reports, and various different say processes. So a lot of things involved in this data science. Now we have a new concept called as data engineer. Now, this data engineer is a full-fledged technical person who works on data. Okay. So his job is completely on the data. So this person, he can also be called as data analyst, but what this person will do is he will not do analysis. He will try to, slice the data, or say give only that data. Say, for example, now I have a data of 1 lakh records. In that 1 lakh records, the data analyst is actually working on one region. In that, he has got some parameters. Only those parameters has to be taken. So this can be done by the data analyst as well, but he is concentrating more on the reports to be generated. So what he will do is he will tell data engineer to get only that data which is required. Now, this data engineer, what he will do is he'll just work on the SQL queries, or say, so many other process which is related to the data. He will slice the data and he will again send it to data analyst. So in a bigger companies, say, in some big companies, what they actually do is they'll have each person for each roles. But in smaller companies, they cannot hire more people. So there are some roles what what data engineering is doing, what data scientist is doing, they can be done by no, it will be done by the data analyst. So it depends on the companies. I cannot say that data analytics means data analyst means you will work only on this. That is why in most of the companies, the designation will be different and the work what you're doing is different. But what I'm telling is what actual meaning of the roles, what I mentioned, business analyst, data scientist, and data engineer means. Now, this data engineer concept came, I'll tell you, from few years it is coming up because data scientists are paid a huge salary. The problem is the companies are not, willing to pay so much because they are trying to do the cost cutting. So what they did is they brought a concept called as data engineering so that they can split the roles of data scientist and data engineer. You can see that, from last, say, 2 years, you can see that data analytics and data engineering jobs are becoming more because they split this data scientist into these two roles so that they can, split the salary. But again, it's not completely true because there are some companies who actually still go with this data scientist only because they're not bothered about the salary, but they're bothered about how actually we can retain the client and how we can give the good quality, say, projects, or how we can actually make the process really good so that the client will remain with them. Okay. So it depends on companies to company what they're actually trying to segregate the roles. Now, coming to the technologies. Now, what we understood is the process. Now, for this, we have different technologies. Now, let's say we have various different process what we'll be working on. Say, for example, now the business analytics or the business analyst, what all things he has to learn. Or what we'll do is we'll go with the technologies. So that will be more easy for us to understand. Let's say the first always the recommended tool I recommend to everyone is Excel. So what does Excel will actually do? See, we can actually use it for analyzing data, create reports and database. We can store the data as database as well. Next, suppose we are actually doing some programming, then I'll say VBA, Python. There are more other things, but what we are learning, what we are teaching in our institute, I'm just mentioning that. Otherwise, there are so many other, programming languages as well. We also use R language. We can say R, SAS. Okay, there are so many like this. So this is actually used for programming automation. Then we have Power BI. Then we have again Excel. Then we have Tableau. This is for reporting. Say business intelligence. Right? Then we have MySQL, SQL Server, MS Access, Oracle. This is for data storage. We call it as database. So likewise, there are so many softwares which we can keep, categorizing it. Now, if you're actually working on analytics and reporting industry, so there are so many processes what we actually do. That is, first is analyzing data. So if you want to analyze data, what all softwares we're using, the same thing, whatever I mentioned here, let me just categorize based on the process. So we use MS Excel. Then we use MS Access. We can also use SQL for analyzing the data. Next, cleaning the data. So we need to clean the data as well. Clean the data. So which all softwares we use, which all tools we use. MS Excel we use. Then we use Power Query Editor. Power Query Editor is actually a strong feature which is available in MS Excel as well as in Power BI. Okay, right. Then we can also use SQL for this cleaning of the data. When I say cleaning of the data, we're just trying to remove the unwanted columns or say unwanted rows, or sometimes we might get some data which is we have to split that into different columns. A lot of processes are involved. So you'll be learning this Power Query editor as well. So I'll teach you this as well. So cleaning of the data, then create reports. So creating these reports, there are so many applications what we'll have. In that, I always recommend MS Excel and Power BI. Now we can also use Tableau for creating reports. We can also use PowerPoint to an extent, not dynamically, but at least if you want to create some static reports, we can use this PowerPoint as well. Suppose if you think you want to make some documentations like PDFs or something, then we can use Word as well. These two things I'm not recommending, but still we can use it for creating reports and documentations, because sometimes what happens, not everyone, or say not all the people will be knowing this MS Excel, Power BI, Tableau. Some people actually prefer say PDFs or PPT presentation and Word documents. So then you can use this for showing the reports. Say, when I say create reports or display reports, I'll say display reports. Okay. We cannot create reports out of this, but we can display the reports. Okay. All right. Then storing data. When I say storing data, that is nothing but the database. So we'll be using MS Access. Then we can use SQL Server. Then we can use My SQL, Oracle. There are so many other softwares. Sorry, there are so many other database where we can actually use this for storing the data. Okay. Apart from all this, there is something called as automation of the process. This is actually used to save a lot of time. This is actually used for automating. Say, for example, now I have 1,000 files. I need to copy that one below the other, append the data, create the report. So in that case, we need to know programming. So we use VBA macros. So most of the people actually ignore this VBA macros. People, I'll tell you, you go to many companies, okay, you go to, most of the companies, they use this VBA macros. I'll tell you why this VBA macros is so popular. I'll mention Python. Then we have Java. Then we have R language. And then we have SAS. There are so many actually. If you keep mentioning, there are so many. Now, if you see all these, the other programming language, if you go to a company and if you mention, they say that we don't have good programmers here, we need to hire someone for that. It will take, you have to pay a lot of the salary will be very high for these people who are programming on this. But if you just think about this VBA macros, you don't have to install any new softwares for this. This will come along with the Excel itself. So what happens is, if you just show some interest and have some confidence and learn this VBA macros, whatever these softwares are doing, to an extent, we can do this in VBA macro itself. But imagine when we are actually working on Excel, sorry, mention Excel also here. I'll share this notepad with you people. Okay. So when you actually see that to create these reports or say to automate something or cleaning the data, if you're writing some program, most of the places will be using Excel only. So in that case, macros are very important. That is why most of the people actually, they'll try to learn programming by using macros. But again, I'm telling you people, all of you, please listen carefully. Excel is a very important tool or say application which is used extensively, globally. Almost all the companies uses this. There are some companies they might not use, but most of the company uses this MS Excel. Now you might ask, what is so specialty in MS Excel? If I learn MS Excel, what about other technologies? If you learn MS Excel, you are able to easily understand Power BI, Tableau, or any other business intelligence tools, because the process what you see here, the Power BI or Tableau, they're all the concepts which have been taken from the MS Excel Power, not Power Pivots. So it is taken from the pivot table section. If you see, all these concepts are taken from pivot tables and then they've improvised it. So if you learn Excel and macros, it is very easy for you to survive in anywhere in the industry. That is especially I'm talking about analytics and reporting. Now, when you learn this programming using these macros, then Python is almost similar because the logics are very much similar. Suppose if I know Python, can I learn VBA macros? See, Python, Java, any programming language you learn, they're all similar. The syntax changes, the logic doesn't change. So if you know VBA macros, Python is very easy and you can learn any of these technologies. But if you know Python, and still you can work on VBA macros. But I request all of you, please to learn one programming language. Okay, one programming language, because when you go to a company, previously it was like they were asking one technology or one, say tools or something. If you are specialized in MS Excel, yes, they used to give a job, but now it's not like that. The complete process have been changed. The interview process itself have been changed. If you know only MS Excel, they'll say, do you know how to analyze the data? Do you know how to create the reports? Then do you know Power BI? If I say, yes, I know Power BI, then say, you know how to handle the data. If you know how to handle the data, which database are you actually using? Then again, I have to learn SQL Server. So this is what will happen in the industry. So when you go to an interview, they will ask, complete 360-degree links of the process. So first they'll ask, do you know about the data? Then I should know SQL. If I know the data, then do you know how to analyze it? Then I should know Excel. And if you know Excel, they'll say how actually we can create dynamic reports quickly. Then they'll ask, do you know Power BI or Tableau? This is what happens, okay, when you go for the job search. So I always recommend people that at least, even if you're not good in programming, if you think that I'm not interested in programming, at least learn how to analyze the data and how to create the reports. And next, the process is about automation that I recommend you take. But if you're not interested in programming, just ignore it. Otherwise, if you think you want to, stay in analytics and reporting industry, Excel, Power BI, and SQL is compulsory. Okay, and I'm not telling that don't learn Python, don't learn Tableau or anything. Those are all added advantage which will help you in getting the job more easily. The more doors will be opened. The more the technology you know, the more the opportunities. If you know only Excel, you should actually go only for MIS reporting or something like data entry or some small reporting jobs. But if you know more and more technologies, the advanced technologies, then it will actually help you people in getting more opportunities. I'm telling. So more opportunities for interviews at least. Okay. So this is what I have for today. This is just to make you people understand what all technologies are actually used in the industry. So if you know this, then the next level, you know that why actually I'm learning. Okay. So it shouldn't be like just because we are getting it for free, just because my friend is actually working on Excel, is getting good salary, I'm learning. It shouldn't be like that. First, you should ask yourself whether I can actually learn this, whether am I interested in this, or say, can I really survive in this field? So these kind of questions you should ask yourself, and then you have to do the course. Just because you're getting it for free, or just because someone is actually forcing you, don't go. But as a friend, as a well-wisher, or as I'm there in the industry for almost 16 to 17 years, I feel that this is the best industry which can stay forever. Okay. Programming, the application development, say, what is that? Testing, all these jobs which were actually on a peak, now you can see that it is coming down. But analytics is there from very long back, and we started this institute in 2012. At that time, people were not even aware of what is analytics, or say what is reporting. So we had started this in 2012. That time itself, we actually were teaching all these things, that is analytics and reportings. Okay, now from last 3 4 years, you can see this is becoming more popular, and you have to take that advantage of it. So what I recommend, please utilize this entire course. So from tomorrow I'll be starting the Excel, and this will be completely practicals, people. And I told you, it's not just I'll give you some theoretical experience or something, or say theoretical knowledge. I'll be working, I'll be showing you right from scratch. Okay, no PPTs, no PDFs or something. I'll be using the data. I'll share the data also with you. After the session, you can work on that particular say, the exercise what I've done. Okay. And again, I'm telling you, every week there will be a quiz or an assignment. so that you can answer that. And I will also give you some awards for that particular assignments or the quiz what you're actually conducting. Okay. So this is what I have for today, a small discussion about the entire process, what actually you will be learning. So in this, you'll be learning MS Excel, Power BI, and SQL Server. And this will be complete sessions with certification of completion. And I mentioned yesterday that this certification will be given only for those who attend 80% attendance, 80% or more than that attendance. Every day I'm taking the attendance. Okay, people who are just watching the videos or something, they can gain the knowledge, but they'll not get the certificate. And people, I will tell you one thing very frankly, now in the industry, certifications are very important. 2 years back or 3 years back, they were not bothered. Certifications, along with that, you should also have the skill set. So please keep this in mind. Okay. Right. So I will stop here for the day. And now it's your time. If you have any questions, please ask me. We have another 8 minutes. If there are more questions, then I'll take it and I will answer that tomorrow, because even I have a lot of other things to do. So quickly, if you have any questions, you can please ask. I will unmute all of you. Now you can unmute one by one and ask the questions.
Sir,
One by one, but
sir, I am Gopi Siraman. Hello.
yeah, Gopi, tell me.
Sir, having doubt in automation process. Whether it is like Selenium automation or what actually it means automation.
This Selenium, all this comes under testing, if I'm not wrong, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
I am talking about the automation of the data.
Okay, we have to automate use coding like Java, Python.
Yes, you can use Java, you can use Python. There are so many, the softwares what we can actually use.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. People have sent the WhatsApp.
So, I said this is Prasanna Venkatesh, sir.
1 minute, Venkatesh. People have sent the WhatsApp chat. 1 minute, Venkatesh, 1 minute. So people have sent the chat, this on WhatsApp group link. Please join in this, okay, if you're not joined. Yeah, Venkatesh, go ahead. Sorry, Venkatesh.
Sir, what is the difference between Excel and advanced Excel, sir?
What's the difference between
Excel and advanced Excel, sir?
Okay, fine. So this question, I will keep it for tomorrow, because we're starting this tomorrow, right? I will explain in detail about what is Excel, what is advanced Excel, what is basic Excel, what is intermediate Excel. I think most of the people who have already attended my most of the sessions, they know what I will be answering. You attend tomorrow, okay? Because I don't want to answer it today. In Excel class, I will make you people understand what is Excel and what is advanced Excel. Then you'll understand whether I'm learning Excel or advanced Excel.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Attend tomorrow. I'll explain that. Any other questions, people? We still have 6 minutes.
Okay, sir. If we miss the class, means we can get a record in our app.
Every day recordings will be there. Okay, every day recordings will be there in the app. Okay, every day recordings will be there in the app.
Till sir? Till
app.
No, sir. Till the course are finished or the day.
This is lifetime. I'll keep it as lifetime. Okay, so don't worry.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Any other questions?
Sir, what you have told is automation of the process. That is the VBA, macros, Python, Java, those things. It is only added advantages, or it is need to be learned if you want to become a data analyst.
See, if you know, it is an added advantage. Okay. So what happens, I'll tell you in the industry. So let me tell about my experience itself. When I was, say, 1 or 2 years of experience in the companies, So what's happening is like I am actually a person who likes more of reportings, and I'm from a graphics background who actually likes more of these colors, or making the designs and all. But what happens is, when it comes to automations, you have to go and sit with another person saying that this is what the data I need for my dashboard or templates. What happens if you go and sit with those people? They actually say that I have one project, or say another project. You come after 2 days or 3 days. Instead, if I only know how to program, right? So what happens? So you don't have to depend on others, because my background is actually computer science, where I know programming, which I've learned in college. But when I got a job, I got a job as a presentation specialist, where I was actually working on PPT or Word or Excel, just on the designing part, or do some simple analysis and create reports. But when I felt that the process, what I'm actually doing, demands even automation, right? So what I did is, I thought, let me just start learning. So within just 2 years, I thought, if I'm actually doing only on this reporting, so people will actually think that I know only reporting. I have to go and depend on these people for getting the process done, that is automations. Since I had the knowledge of say, what is that, programming, so I started improving the programming of VBA. Then slowly I started working on Python. Then because my background actually helped me in programming, my passion actually helped me in creating reports. So that is where I actually survived. Okay. So then after that, all my projects, right from the automation to reportings to analyzing, and even I've done the role of business analyst, I've done the role of data analyst, data scientist, everything I've done. That is because of my interest.
Sir, why I'm asking is I am from commerce background,
Mm,
but it will be difficult like learning this Python, Java. These are the programming languages. No?
okay.
So I think it will take more time because
Let me,
we have to learn from the scratch.
yes. Nandini, right? Your name?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you cook? You know how to cook?
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
sir.
How many days you took for cooking? Say a tasty food, very good food. Was it
Yeah,
very easy
yeah.
when you learned?
No, sir. It is a learning process. It's still
Yeah.
happening.
So your mummy was teaching you, that she was correcting you, or say you actually were doing something in the beginning. Obviously, people will spoil the food, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
After that, what happens? Now you're preparing good food because you become more and more experienced in that.
Yes,
More than experience, you started showing interest in that. Yes.
yes, sir.
Similarly, programming language also. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're actually learning something with interest, it might take time, but it will help you in a longer duration. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Especially for commerce graduates, people, I'll tell you from my experience, from my this thing where I go for most of the companies for corporate trainings or something, commerce graduates has got more demand in this analytics field, because banking sector, financial sectors are on top now. This industry is actually requiring more and more of commerce graduates. Okay. I don't know whether you people have read the newspaper few days back. This PUC results came out, right?
Yes.
So the highest number of registrations happened for which degree? You know? Do you know?
No, sir.
It is for commerce.
Come.
Okay. Otherwise, previously it was for engineering, right? Especially for information science or computer science. But this year, commerce registrations is stopping actually, because the demand is more for commerce graduates. That's why I always tell, try to learn as much as possible. You people are really in a good position now, especially commerce graduates.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Right. Is there any criteria for degree to getting a job? Bhavesh, see, degree is now compulsory. I'll tell you why the companies prefer degrees. It's not because of, you got a degree and then you'll be like, something more educated. It's not like that. Some companies won't prefer their educational qualification. They concentrate more on skill sets. That is the main criteria. But I'll tell you why they actually prefer for degrees, because what happens when they actually when the company they take a project, the client actually asks who are all involved in this particular project. Okay, this is what happens. So most of us actually, the resource what we join, the freshers, they don't know how the process happens. I'll tell you how the process happens. When I get a job, I just feel that the company where I'm working, they just take me and I'm working on that. But that is not the scenario. What happens, I'll tell you, when a client gives a project, he will also want to know who all are involved in that particular project. So when we have to submit the resource list, they'll also ask about their qualification, their experience, their certifications. So in that, they have to mention the qualification as well. In that case, what happens is, when the list of resource has been sent to the client and they mention your qualification, if you're not degree holder, so that won't look good for the company. So that is what they do, is they'll always prefer people who are in degrees. Okay, but not all the clients actually prefer like this, because I have prepared a lot of SOPs. I have prepared a lot of say quotations, or say project documentations. So in that I have prepared this, so I know this will happen. But again, not all the clients prefer. So there are companies who don't prefer degrees, but most of the tier 1 companies, they prefer degrees. So I recommend have at least one degree, not a regular course at least, not a regular degree at least. Have it with your distance education at least. Okay, that will help you. Bhavesh, did I answer you? Bhavesh, if you're not able to speak, you can at least mention if you got my answer. Satyanarayana, sir, please explain about PL 300 exam. Sir, this is actually for Excel, Power BI, and SQL server class. So I can only talk about that. But again, if you want PL 300, you can come offline. I'll explain about that. So data analytics, all concepts will be covered. Yes, Mohammed, I'll be covering data analytics part in this particular course. Right, people. So I have another session in few minutes. So the last question: how was this session? Was it helpful? So how do you feel about this session? So I want all of you to comment quickly. I'll just give you 1 minute. In 1 minute, whatever you can answer or say type, just type it. People, see, I'm telling you again, I'm not expecting anything from you people commercially. I'm expecting only the encouragement. That's all. Okay. So I am spending so much of time for you people. So I'm just asking 1 or 2 minutes. So please tell me, how did you feel about today's session? Was it useful? Quickly answer. Won't take much time. Within few seconds, you should answer. Good. Good. So thank you, all of you. See, if you encourage me more, if you ask more questions, what is required, I will also feel good in preparing a lot of other things, a lot of new technologies. And people, as I mentioned, I'll also be including Chat GPT in this particular course. Okay, don't worry. That also I told you yesterday. So Chat GPT also will be there. How to use Chat GPT for working on these technologies as well. Okay, and people, if you are interested in learning this thing, what is that, formulas? Okay, this weekend with experts, I'm not sure how many of you know about weekend with experts concept. We have this every weekend. So this weekend we are having the formulas. Okay, how to write formulas, that too using Chat GPT. So how to use this Chat GPT completely and write the formulas. That's what the topic is for this weekend. I'll be sending you the details in the group. If anybody is interested, they can register and they can attend the session. Okay. Right, people. Thank you, all of you. See you guys tomorrow with Excel. So from tomorrow, we'll start the Excel. Take care, all of you. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, sir. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.